what's one piece of marriage advice you would give to either a newlywed or maybe a young couple on the brink of getting married?
They asked this of my father-in-law when he and my mother-in-law were married 20 years. I said, well, what did you say? He said, secret to a happy marriage, guys, do whatever the hell she tells you to do. Jay?
It's very good. I'd say, don't do what a couple owners in the NFL do. Right? How about that?
Welcome to the Larry and Big Man Show with Dave Ricchini. I'm Larry Richert from the KDK Radio Morning Show, and that's two-time Stanley Cup champion, Sportsnet hockey analyst, Mr. Jay Caufield. Gentlemen,
Yeah,
we got a lot to cover.
we do.
A lot of news, but first want to thank One Team Media and their team, Mark Coddington producing, and of course, Brian Hess. And of course, we have our regular sponsors, which we really appreciate.
Yeah, Dave Rourke Automotive, and Tom Gross with Henderson Brothers. Really, thanks, boys. Appreciate it for you being a part of it. And also, Larry, one more.
Zero Res Commercial will tell you how you can utilize a promo code to take advantage of some big savings if you own a business, large or small. Dave Ricchini, our on-set producer, Nostradamus of the numbers. By the way, we're going to talk to Pierre McGuire. I think this is his last week on the lake.
Yes.
And then it gets real serious when it comes to hockey. I can't believe that it's on the doorstep right now.
It is. It gets closer and closer. We've got preseason's winding down in the NFL, and then you get the NHL that's right there. And we've talked about it before. It comes up real quick. Not as many preseason games. They get going right away. A couple of weeks after camp, they're starting up.
Before we get into the Steelers, right after we had Larry Murphy on with talking about 3 ice and
we couldn't bring it up.
Being a coach, you knew.
We couldn't bring it
You
up.
knew he had.
No,
Dave, he had the inside track.
I did.
He always does.
The
I
next
did.
day, the team officially announced the Hall of Fame induction for the Penguins organization.
Yeah, I think it was awesome. I mean, Larry's so well. It's so well deserved. You could see the way he was even talking about 3 ice, how he is about the game, talking about the history of the game with Team Canada and Canada Cup. But yeah, great with that. Marc-André Fleury, a unanimous decision. Surprise, surprise. And Jim Rutherford and Jack McGregor. Really, it's a great cat. Like you said, we'll get into it with Pierre, but it was a great. It's big how they brought that back around with the Penguins, bringing that Hall of Fame class.
You're on
back.
the committee, right? Are you
I
part
am
of
on the committee. That's why I knew, and I couldn't spill the beans.
Yeah, Jay's one of those that makes that decision. So if you have any issues, you contact the big man directly.
Larry, that's right.
All right, let's talk about preseason game 2 for the Steelers. Friday night, the weather was perfect. The setup for a preseason game, guys, you got Will Howard's going to play the first half. You got Drew Allar's going to play the second. And after their combined performances with the Packers, you're thinking, all right, there we go. And thud. Dave.
Yeah, a little different from week 1. Now, I know the Jets played some of the defensive starters, but, Will Howard had 2 interceptions, but I don't know. I still like what I see from both quarterbacks. I know the numbers weren't maybe what they were in week 1, but I still see just when you watch a quarterback, and you can, did the receiver run the wrong route for Will Howard? Both were intended for Roman Wilson. Who knows about that? But I still like what I see from them. I think it's going to be, and they try to get on Mike McCarthy this week. Well, are you going to keep 3 or 4 quarterbacks? Because there's a leak that came out that says they're going to keep 4 quarterbacks. Well, he didn't really buy into that. But so it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this third preseason game with those 2. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of overreaction. I mean, people overreacted to week 1, and now they're overreacting to week 2. It's still preseason. It's still only the second game for both guys.
We'll overreact in week 3 too.
Yes.
And then in the opener. Jay, what was your...
No, I felt the same way as Dave did. I mean, I really did. I thought, watching the game and rewatched the game, and I thought, to be honest, the 2 picks, again, that's something they'll discuss with them. They'll break that down and go over it, but they already have an idea. They know what they're doing already. I mean, they know in their mind what they're going to do, whatever we see this week in the final exhibition game, but they... can one more game make or break? Yeah, for some players it could in some spots, but I think they have a pretty good idea what they want to do. I mean, I thought Will Howard, the 2 picks, I mean, I know guys are breaking it down, blaming it on the receiver. Dave just mentioned it. Is it that or what you were doing? I thought he looked under control, but the 2 picks just cost him. If he didn't have that, what would his day have been like? It would have been phenomenal, probably. People would have been raving about him. But those 2 picks, at the timing of it, they jumped. And I'm not sure. It was a little more than just vanilla. We talk about what they do defensively in preseason games, what the opposition does. And it's funny. We've mentioned this over the year about when you're in a position trying to make an NFL team, every little play, one mistake tips you out of it, and you make a great play and it keeps you right back in. I have to feel that they have an idea what I'm saying this staff, what their decision making. Yeah, it's going to come down to the final thing. What's it going to be, 3 or 4, and who's it going to be? But I think they have a pretty good idea what they've seen in so far, and through 2 games, we'll see. And it's tough to be a backup. A backup, you're not getting the looks, you're not getting the touches, all the things that go with it. But those 2 guys, I'm looking forward to seeing the 3rd game one more time, but tough.
And you're throwing to 3rd and 4th string wide
Yeah.
receivers too. You're not throwing
line
to
has
DK
it up.
Metcalf
Yeah.
and in the O-line. You mentioned that too. That's one of my concerns for them right now through 2 weeks. The left side looks fine. I think the left side is going to be fine. But what are they going to do? They keep shuffling guys on the right side. Now, Max Aheinachor returns to practice this week. Is he going to be in the mix, either right guard or right tackle? But, I mean, Broderick Jones, they've been trying him on the right side. He hasn't looked good. So there's some concerns. Dylan Cook, I know you liked Dylan Cook last year. He played really well down the stretch, but it's been a struggle so far this year. And granted, they're not running but again, the defense too, they're not showing all their blitzes. They're not doing all their schemes. Right. It's basically like man-on-man rush. So they need to shore up that right side.
2 things. I like the way Coach McCarthy handled the postgame about the quarterbacks in their play. He didn't really seem that troubled by it, which tells me there were other issues too. It's always the quarterback. They get the blame. They get the glory. But there's a lot of things going on. It's the old football adage. It starts with the men up front. And, Allar's running for his life, and Broderick Jones got beat a couple of times and almost got his young quarterback crushed.
What I go back, and maybe it's a phrase that's been used, and I would love to ask Dan Marino about that when we had it. We did probably bring it up, but I didn't see the guys like Howard didn't have like happy feet, like ready to jump and pivot and get out of the, the pocket. That's what I mean. I think it's, there are 2 throws he wants back. You're also trying to make something happen, right?
You remember Tyler Pelko played at Pitt.
Yeah.
West Allegheny. He actually, spent time in the league, and I asked him, what is the transition like from being a college quarterback to pros? And he said, in college, you throw to the open receiver. In the pros, you throw open the receiver. And some guys can't make that transition. I think both those guys are capable.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to
Tyler
see.
Pelko had Larry Fitzgerald, so there was always an open receiver in college.
It didn't hurt when you're throwing to Larry Fitzgerald. Good point, Dave.
I also think I get what he's saying. I think also when you look at it, we see who they're playing against, and some starters, some not, most not. But it's what changes is, I'm sure you're getting the best of the best every week, even if it's a team that's not the best in the NFL. You're getting the best of the best, and that split second that you had before, you don't have, or it goes away real quick. That's what I mean. It's if I look in the NHL, there are great players in every league, but there's something about when you're at the NHL level or the best level in each league, the fighting is different. The fighting can be crazy to mine. So, by the way, I'm not saying, but it's different, right? I don't know. I just think that when you're with the elite, and in a position of a quarterback, and you need a receiver to help you. You need to get open, maybe run the right route. So we'll find out what they think about the Roman Wilson thing going forward. But for me, you don't have that split second that you thought you had when you're going against the greatest play in the game. There's going to be a trip up. There's going to be that. But for the most part, I do liken it to when you're in the NHL. When you go for the American League, you go to the NHL, and there's great players everywhere, but there's something different when you hit that elite, that top level, and it makes its difference from preseason to regular season, as we said, and then in the playoffs.
And we haven't seen DK Metcalf. We know what he's capable of. Michael Pittman Jr., he's going to take pressure off of Metcalf and vice versa, and we'll see who can be the 3rd and 4th wide receivers. Let's talk about the running backs. Dave.
Yeah, good to see Rico Dowdle make his preseason debut, and Jalen Warren. It's kind of what we expected going in. I think it's going to be a 50-50 split. Last year they had Kenneth Gainwell. He was more the pass-catching running back, but showcased that he could also run in between the tackles. Dowdle's more of an in-between the tackles guy. I think Warren's going to be more of the pass-catching back. So it's going to be interesting to see how they distribute that, because we know, now I know the offense has changed, but Aaron Rodgers is still going to be a guy that looks to dump it off to his running back. If his first and second read's not there, he's going to take the 4 short yards, and that's usually either going to be the running back or one of his tight ends out of the backfield. So good to see them both. Good to see nobody get hurt. That's always a thing. But again, that's where I want to see that. I was watching more of the O-line when those guys are in it, who was making their blocks, and there weren't a whole lot of holes there, but they took what they got. And I think I'm anxious to see what Dowdle can do, because we talked, in prior podcasts, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons with 2 different teams. He's got the history of Mike McCarthy. He's an underrated back, so I'm curious to see what he can do when it comes the regular season.
You know who I like, and he's not. I don't know how it's going to play itself out. That Lou Nichols. Every time when I watch him, when he gets the ball,
He runs
even
hard.
out of the backfield. Yeah, I don't know. He was practice squad. What's it going to be like for him again this year? We know with Caleb Johnson. You look at what they did. He gave him more touches, but I saw one on the outside, and I just was hoping for him to break it. Like, just get away. I believe it was Ryan Clark's son that made the tackle on him in that game, right, for the Jets. Just wanted him to bust it, it wasn't there. And that's one of the plays that's a separator. If he gets by that and has a big gain, but he didn't. So the guy for me, and whatever they do, we'll see how that plays out. But Nichols for me, you've watched him out of the backfield over the last couple of weeks. They're reliable. Aaron Rodgers is going to use that a lot. Again, depending on the line of scrimmage play, if he has to dump it off again, he needs a reliable back. We know what's not here. Gainwell's not here this year. So for me, I like that Nichols, but we'll find out what they do with it.
But how many are they going to keep? Because Travis Homer is a guy that's a really good special teams player, a guy they signed in the offseason. Yeah. You mentioned Caleb Johnson. Are they they invested a 3rd-round pick in him? Is it now different coaching staff, but still the same front office? It's hard to cut ties with a guy. So if they keep 3 or 4 running backs, it's going to be tough for Lou to make the team.
Yeah, I know. I'd like to see him. I think if they're not, I said it last week, Caleb Johnson seems like the writing's on the wall kind of thing. As a player, as an athlete, you're seeing it at one point, then just cut.
I think what they should do this week, and we can talk about expectations for this final preseason game, but I would look to showcase Caleb Johnson. Give him a heavy workload, give him 15 to 20 touches, and if he excels, maybe you got something. If he doesn't, and if he excels, maybe he's a trade candidate. Yep. You can trade him to a team that maybe is looking for a backup running back, and if he doesn't, then better idea of what you're working with there.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the tight ends, the other skill position. I mean, you have the mountain, Darnell Washington, who's really he's a factor that not many teams have.
No,
because he's like another lineman, obviously, but he has skills. I love when he gets the ball too, and he knocks D-backs over.
Yeah, for me, I tell you, their tight end situation is in a good space. I talked about Robert Tonyan a couple of weeks ago. He was in Green Bay. Right, he was with Aaron Rodgers before. You can see in the one preseason game, he's a guy that's reliable, and he's reliable in the red zone. It might bring another dimension. I don't know what's on the bubble as far as that's concerned, but that's one guy. And now, look, who are you going to take time away? But you never know what goes down, injuries, what happens. He's someone that's reliable. Injury derailed him a couple of years ago, and now he's working his way back. And you can see he's got something different than other guys. I like him. I hope that's somebody that sticks on this roster, because I think he can prove a value as you move forward. Especially, he's been around Rodgers before. They know inside the red zone. I like him, Dave. I mean, it's somebody I've liked him, watch him over the last number of years.
Yeah, they need to replace the Jonnu Smith snaps. Pat Freiermuth, I think we all expected more out of him last year. Yeah. Hopefully, maybe in the new offense that he can perform a little bit better and get some more opportunities there. Washington's going to get his chances. I think it was Missy Matthews hit on him talking about in the offseason. He tried to trim down, and he was sitting on his couch, and he goes, I feel like going for a walk. He's not a big conditioning guy, but he'd get up and go for a walk. That was his conditioning to try to get ready for training camp, so that was a pretty funny hit. But I think all 3 are going to play. Washington's going to continue to be a red zone threat, continue to be a key factor in the run game. Freiermuth, I would expect him to be a little more involved in the offense this year under Mike McCarthy as well.
I'll say something real quick, because Dave just touched on something about being in shape. When they talked, I think it was a couple weeks ago, they mentioned Broderick Jones. They wanted to see him get his strength back. Okay, here's the hard thing. Get your strength back. Gain 10 to 15 pounds, but be in better shape. You know what I mean? Like, think about it, right? Like, truthfully. Okay, I'm gonna
Big
get my
man
shit back.
blitz.
You can do that. You can do that. You
Jeez.
can do that. But gaining the weight to be in better shape, I don't know. That's a tough one. That's just I find it to
Coming
be
from a
very
guy
tough.
who used to push cars up hills.
Oh yeah, no,
Right.
no, but usually, it's. I mean, I get what they're saying. He's got to find the strength because the guys are. We talked to Jimbo Covert, talked about guys who bull rush. Then you talk about the speed rushers. It's difficult with a speed rusher, right? If you don't have the movement, and a couple of times when you're facing the other way, when there's a sack, you can just see it's a bad, probably the worst feeling for a lineman. But you got to have your quickness. You got to have that. So that's why I said it's a little bit of you want to gain weight, but you got to be quick. You got to be nimble. You got to be, those 10 yards are so important, So there you go. That's just a little thing I wanted to add what I saw last week.
All right. The situation this year, there's always one or two, was Joey Porter Jr. We found out Monday, Coach McCarthy said publicly that they're at an impasse.
Yeah.
Then they interviewed Jalen Ramsey, who's back, and instead of Ramsey talking about the defense or the future, one of the first things he said was pay Joey Porter Jr., so he's stumping for him. What I had heard was Joey Porter Jr. wanted to be the highest paid corner in the league, and if that's true, that doesn't necessarily fit the budget for the Steelers. What do you guys think, Dave?
It won't. I mean, we saw Devin Witherspoon with Seattle kind of reset the market. Gonzalez is going to get paid up in New England pretty soon. But Joey Porter's he's a good cornerback. He is not in that tier, but he deserves to get. I mean, he was a second-round pick, so he wants to get that raise. I get it. My problem is, and we've seen this all the time, when players sit out training camp and they're not getting the work in, they come back, what happens? They pull a hamstring, they get hurt, they do something. So that's what I don't like, is him sitting out. You have a lot of guys, hold-ins where they come and they show up and they know they want a contract, but they're still gonna practice, get out there. So they need them. I do think they need them. I don't think they have the depth at cornerback. I mean, I like Asante Samuel Jr., like Jamal Dean. Is Jalen Ramsey going to be playing more safety, more nickel, or more outside corner? We don't know that because he's also been banged up, but they definitely need him. He makes a team better, but I don't think he's going to reset the market again, Jay.
Yeah, and I think if that came out last night, I'm not sure if that's true. Asante Samuel's father made a comment, which I understand what he's saying, but I almost wish that there was no parents talking about inside their own team, but said if you're not handling it right, you should be on the field and then go from there, right? Like negotiate from a strong position that way. But I'm telling you though, I mean, I understand what he's saying. He's played the game. He's been through the wars. But the part, and then Dave, you mentioned it too, like you should be a practice. When you watch, go ahead and watch like Hard Knocks. And you watch, you think you're just in shorts and you're out there moving around. And all of a sudden it gets up, the tempo picks up. And there's movement. And you see the injury, guys going down injured. Like, right? They're looking out. You have to look out for yourself because you got a window of opportunity to play a game. Do I agree with wanting to be the highest paid corner? All that goes with that. That's not, they're decision makers are in that office and they know what they want to do and where they place them. But it's tough as a player. If you're if you're trying to hold out, but you go out there, you're not into it. And when the speed of every practice picks up, because it picks up and it gets nastier as it goes on, you're vulnerable, right? And if anything happened to a guy that's in that position waiting to get a deal done, nobody's going, hey, Joey, sorry to hear that, but we'll give you a number anyway. It doesn't work that way. So I understand why they're kind of guys do that and pull away. Because when you do go down with an injury, and it happens,
we'll see what happens. His father, by the way, obviously had a great career with the Steelers, but people forget he went to Miami for a year because of contract, wanted. So we'll see.
I don't like the way it was sounded. Like you said, I don't like the way it sounded when you say impasse and wanting a big number. That almost means like you're putting the gun to the Steelers' head and go, I want to be the highest paid.
Well, I'm glad McCarthy said it too, because he's been on a PUP list with the back injury. So you could be led to believe that that's simply what it is, and they are negotiating. But sometimes when you get out there in the public, it puts a little bit of pressure on the player too.
Yeah. Nope. I agree. We'll see. Hopefully everything can settle in, but it's missing a lot of key time.
Is there a Yinzer dog of the week?
It's a tough one, but I do have one.
You do?
Yes, I do. We talked about, and I'll see what you guys say. We talked about trying to make a play, a difference maker play. I thought Carson Bruner There's a sack that he made. He runs over the running back and makes a play, and it stood out. It was pure aggression. It was an aggressive play from a linebacker. That's what you want. I just thought that's the whole game. I'm watching the game, and I'm saying, I mean, there's other guys. I mean, I know
Landon Roberts.
Roberts had a great game back in. Totally agree. I saw that. I'm just going to go on a young guy trying to make a statement, not just special teams, and he sees who he's behind. But when he was on that blitz, to me, loved it. I love that part. He's my guy.
Can always tell where Jay wants to go with the injured dog based on where he puts it in a rundown of the show. So this was right after the Steelers. So I'm like, okay, it's not going to be a Pirate.
That's kind of true.
I was going to go, and I know we're going to get into the Pirates a bit later, but I was going to go Rafael Flores Jr., the backup catcher for the Pirates.
Oh, good.
Last Wednesday, came into the game in the 7th inning, two home runs, pinch hit home run, then another home run in the 9th inning, and then this past weekend got to play it against the Dodgers in LA, played in front of his parents for the first time as a pro. Pretty emotional for him. Pretty cool moment there. So that's my guy, but no, we can go with the Steelers trade.
No. I just made the one. It's still preseason. I got to say my piece, but I like that. That's pretty good. Larry, maybe a decision maker.
I'll say since it was preseason, I agree. Bruner had a good game.
Yep.
You know, his father, Mark, a legacy Steeler tight end, is, I'm sure, really proud of him.
Yeah.
But I like what I see from him, Jack Sawyer, and individuals. But you got to, I guess, under the circumstances, we'll go with the Pirates.
Yeah, that's a good. It's not, you're reading into that, Dave, and that's not how I do that when I put that down there, but it's a good thought that I did, but I like your choice. It's very,
Thank you.
Larry, by the way, what's he going to get?
Glad you asked, Jay. Original Yinzer dog, Stanley P. Kachowski, Kielbasi, Babushka, Mummer, Pierogies, and Yinzer Halushki. Congratulations.
And big things to come on that side one day, maybe. Yes.
Big things coming. We'll just leave it at that. All right, before we leave the NFL, a couple of notes for our pals on the lake.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson named the starter, and he addressed the media and the fans, you know, this whole background of the massage parlor stuff and all this craziness that goes into everything that happens in Cleveland. He's trying to tell everybody, you know, don't worry about it. I'm going to be good.
Yeah, and then he came out just the other day again and kind of apologized for his comments too, but named a starter. I mean, that's just a situation just won't go away. You know, this is the final year he's going to be in Cleveland. You know, he's got some other years on his contract. They're all dummy void years, and he's still going to owe him. They're still going to have $83 million
a year. He's
it's
$46
ridiculous.
million a year.
But they keep restructuring his contract, and they're going to have $83 million in dead money after the season. But he's looked terrible in the preseason. He gets booed, comes out, pretty much bashes the fans. They cheer when I got hurt a couple years ago as well too. But you just, when you have a microphone in front of you, you know, you guys know you do it for a living. You got to be careful what you say, especially when you're trying to win back over a fan base. It's not like he's got a perfect personal, you know, past. Didn't agree with the comments. Glad he came out and said something, but that's a mess up there right now.
You know, whoever the whole front office should be, you let a guy go, Baker Mayfield, go back a couple of years, like him, don't like him, whatever. But the guy goes and battles and wins for his team. And you let him go after they won here, right? They won a playoff game here. And you let a guy go and you sign that. And look what they've had since then. Outside of Joe Flacco coming, who's trying to make something. I just find it is a total mess. And when you do put a microphone in front of somebody, and one of the first things he says is, "I don't regret anything I've done in my life." Oh, well, that sounded really bad. It didn't come across right either.
That's a bad place to start.
Yeah, I mean, really, just go I get it. I get it. But just, you cannot, when you're making that kind of money, you're making any money. If you're a professional athlete, you're making whatever dollar amount you're making.
If I would have been a media advisor to him, I'd have said, just look the press in the eye, mea culpa, just say, I've done some things, however you want to couch it, but not, to your point, say, I don't regret anything I've ever done in my life.
Plus, he's played 19 games for them since 2022. 19 games. You're talking $230 million guaranteed they gave him for 19 games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why would you think they wouldn't boot, truthfully? I mean, honestly, God, you're the quarterback there to me is, so I'm just going to go back. I mean, you had Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield's took and run and had to pay his dues to get to where he's at. and you had them in your system, whatever, and you don't see it. The football people in Cleveland, whoever the guys were that made those decisions, that's all on them. That's brutal. That's brutal.
Before we transition from the pros back to college, we'll talk about that in a second, but the big breaking news this week was Jed York, the owner of the 49ers, not too far from Pittsburgh, just across the border in East Palestine, at a mobile home park, a trailer park, he's worth $500 million. His mom, Denise DeBartolo York, worth $2.5 billion. He's got a wife and 2 kids, but he is the owner of the 49ers. He gets caught up in this. Dave, why don't you explain what happened?
Thanks, Larry. Just glad he's another Yinzer dog of the week. He got caught for soliciting prostitution in East Palestine at a trailer park for, I think it was $140. And you just mentioned his net worth, basically. And he's at a trailer park in East Palestine soliciting prostitutes. So that came out. And as you guys just talked about, there are a lot of bad decisions made in Ohio nowadays.
So
wait a minute. That makes Robert Kraft look kind of like a saint.
I love the meme.
Is that a way to say it?
Well,
Is
my
that true?
question
Robert,
is,
I'm not. Hey, whatever. I'm not throwing. No,
if
I'm not
that
throwing
was
stones.
a player, though,
Oh yeah.
what would the league do, or the team that player plays for? What would happen, as opposed to whatever happened to Robert Kraft? From a league standpoint, should this matter for the 49ers? Now, they've already said they're not commenting, but is the league going to do something, do you think? Or is this just like, okay, because legally it's over.
Yeah, he paid his fine.
He paid
It's
the
done.
fine.
I don't think the league does anything.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's gonna.
No.
I don't think anything's gonna come from it. I know where you're going. I made a comment. I mean, that's, to me, that is the more you hear the story. I reference Robert Kraft. I'm not trying to be it. I'm just trying to say.
But no, that's
truthfully,
that's the parallel. I mean,
Yeah,
it's the
It's
same
legit.
like
In
you
Miami.
you went to a trailer park in East Palestine, Ohio, and you're who you are, and you're worth all that. Look, I don't know. I know we're around a lot. You can take. I don't see, like you said, if you look at Mario Lemieux, you look at people like that, you look at Dan Marino, you look at all the guys and what happens. You know, you're not doing anything you don't do stuff that's, you're going to embarrass.
I mean,
the
of all the
situation where you're
things
at.
in
I just
the
don't get it.
world,
I don't get it. It's
for
amazing. to me.
someone in that position, for anybody, but for someone in that position,
Yeah. That was a tough topic.
you got, everybody's going to go, just like they do when you see Robert Kraft. You can't help it.
Well, now that's Robert Kraft's probably the happiest guy in the world. Go, oh, great. That sounds worse.
Tag, you're it.
But that comes across worse than
When they break out at the owners' meetings, they're going to put those two together so they can come up with some brainstorming.
I shouldn't even say it that way. I shouldn't even say it sounds worse, but to me, it does sound worse.
Good thing one's AFC, one's NFC.
But thanks for letting me tell that
Well, I
story.
appreciate you explaining it,
Yeah.
Dave. you spent a lot of time in Ohio,
I drive right by East Palestine, Ohio. Yeah.
just in general.
Not there, though.
All right, let's talk about the new world we live in college football, where, the transfer portal and NIL has players now who've been with NFL teams. We're seeing this now. Lane Kiffin's name is prominent in this story.
Yeah.
So should they allow players who have reached that level in the NFL to go back, if they have the eligibility, to college football?
So the gist of it is Daquan Wright was the first one, a tight end from the Browns. Release is going to go back to LSU. He was granted, a ruling came out that granted players 5 years of eligibility, and there were a handful of guys that weren't part of that because of when they came in the league. Long story short, if they agreed to pay back any money they earned in a professional league, they can go back to college. So we've now seen 2 players leave from NFL, and there's gonna be some more that happen, because especially when cutdowns start happening in the NFL this weekend, there are gonna be some fringe players that probably get better offers. Now, the question is, and I've already seen the Big Tens come out and said they're barring players. They don't want their teams to recruit any players coming back from the pros, and I don't know how they're going to get away with that. because now it's a competitive advantage. Like,
They'll get
Lane
sued.
Kiffin said, he goes, if it's not me, it's going to be somebody else. So,
And you're taking the downside is obviously you're taking a spot away from somebody. But if the object is to win, and it is, people can tell you whatever they want. But at the college level, that's all about the money, and winning brings the money. You're going to do everything you can if it's within the rules, and it still is for him to do that. He may not be popular for doing it, but
here's my
Lane Kiffin
question.
brought in 40+ new players. So all the guys that were on that team last year, he brings in 40 and adding, right? He don't care. He's there to win. Right. So, but think about that. Deion Sanders did the same thing when he went to Colorado, though, right? He bumped how many players out of that program to bring in his player that he wanted.
that's
Well,
right.
Lane Kiffin's doing the same thing here, but it's around 40. I think 40+ right now. So sorry, Dave.
So what's going to happen though if, say, one of these players has a great season and it's week 8, and there's an NFL team that has an injury at tight end? Can that player then jump to the NFL? Can they get out? Why not?
No, I don't think.
Well,
It's not like a minor league system. I mean, it is. It's a
Because he's already went through the draft process, so he is a. It's
No,
no
once you
different than
make-
him
that-
going
that's
to
a
the
pretty-
CFL.
one-liner in agreement goes, once you go down, you're down. You're down. You're not coming back up.
But
I
is
can't
there?
imagine.
But
that-
is there
I
a
get what you're-
liner that says that?
I don't know. I can't believe that they're making him pay money. It's NIL money now. Who even cares? Pay back your money. Well, it's really hard. Really, guy who's on the bubble getting released, right? He's a cast off from New Orleans Saints and/or the Cleveland Browns. You pay back the money that you've gotten so far. So you're saying pay back? They're undrafted.
Probably a signing bonus. Yeah.
Right, so whatever they got, pay it back, because he's only going to LSU to make sure he gets a good NIL deal.
Right.
So I'm sure he didn't go there for less than.
And then maybe build his, resume to come back to the NFL.
But
Which
Dave,
he would be a free agent
you-
again next
you
year.
guys are making
He's
a good
already
point
went through
about
the
the
draft
thing-
process.
You're making a good point about, can they go back? I would just say, be straight. There's no freaking. And what about this? Isn't it? It's college football. It's school. Like, whatever. Those guys though, they got kind of hosed because they had a 5th year left. The 5th year is, hey, look, it's been great for players and it's crushing other players. If you're a guy trying to finally get your way into the game, and then they keep guys back. Imagine if you're in LSU right now and you see 2 more guys coming or 3 more.
I would like to see the language though, because think
Yeah.
about this: you have players opting out of bowl games all the time. This guy now, if he gets through the regular season and they're not in the playoffs, he's not going to play in a bowl game. He could opt out, or I wonder if there is language in his NIL deal that says you must play through the postseason.
Well, there will be if there isn't.
Well, have guys been opting out on an NIL deal? I think that was if you have an NIL deal, that's a good. Well, we can look up that. We can look that up, because I think if
Nobody
you have an
ever
NIL
sees
deal
the
and you
actual
walk from that
contracts.
NIL deal when they're going to a bowl game, that's like. But we'll find that out. We have to find that out, because it's a really good point.
All right, time for the big man blitz. What's on your mind,
Man,
big
we've covered
man?
a lot that could fall into that category.
Yes.
Truly, right. I'm going to just blend that's a little softer. I'm just going to say Harrison Butker kicks a 69-yard field goal. Now, look,
I saw it.
and the athlete, yeah, right. The athletes of today, in every sport, bigger, stronger, faster. They train differently than they ever did before. And so a guy kicks a 69-yarder, and I think it was Joe Schott, an NFL analyst. I think it was Joe Schott.
Yeah.
And he doesn't say, well, a phenomenal kick. He goes, they need to narrow the goalposts. Just because, hey, look, a guy kicks a 69-yarder. Dave and I were talking about this off air. You're not going to see a 69-yarder in an NFL game unless it's end of a half, end of a game, whatever it might be. But the guy kicked a 69-yarder, and if you're not kicking him over 50 with regularity, you're not in the NFL today. But I think that the guy, it was kind of like, the comment was, well, we need to make the goalpost narrow. Like, I mean, that never entered my mind when I saw the guy kick a 69-yard field goal. I'm just thinking, I remember Tom Dempsey when he kicked his, and everybody was like, imagine that.
64 yards with half a foot.
So to me, that's on the report, on the NFL analysts to come out and go, they just need to make the goalposts.
Well,
No, athletes, every sport, athletes are better, faster. They train differently than they ever have before. Every sport is faster, quicker, bigger, stronger, and you can get by.
to that point, the NBA should raise the hoop 2 feet.
I was guess.
Yeah,
I mean, it's same-
no. Some guys can stand. No, I understand what you're saying. Like, right to that point, you're right. Just to me, it just made no sense to me. That's all. It's different because all those topics truly. I think really the Deshaun Watson one probably would have been mine, but we covered it all pretty well. I think the Harrison Butker thing.
I don't think hockey players are bigger than Jay right now.
No, there's still, but again, all the players train like so. It's an elite. It's 12 months a year, and if you're not doing it 12 months a year, you're behind the 8 ball.
All right, before we check in with Pierre McGuire, a couple of minutes left. The Pirates done. They got swept by the Dodgers. Is it over?
Hey, look, I said when they were 1.5 games out in the wild card, if their pitching just comes around like it's expected, you're starting pitching. And I think we'll talk about one more week. We'll go into next week and dive deeper into the certain numbers about it, because the numbers truly reflect why they're where they're at. Great hitting in the first half, that's backed off. Bullpen crushed them, right, Dave? You had some. You knew some of the numbers. To me, Now you got teams, and you got, what are they, 8.5, 9 games out of the wild card?
They won
They
Monday
won last
night,
night.
but there's too many teams for them to jump over. And it's one thing if they were competing for the wild card and a division, but since it's only wild card, there's just too many teams.
They got to finish out in San Diego, then go to St. Louis. They're not home till next Tuesday, September 1st, and we'll know by then for sure, but mathematically, no. All right, little golf action. I watched, and I can't remember, 28 under. That player was a Corn Ferry, right?
I got to look it up.
You got to look this up. 28 under par, which is,
That's unbelievable.
I mean, to your point, it's the opposite. It's the same thing. What are they going to do now to make it more challenging?
They're trying, right? They're trying. Like, the ball, adjust, try and pull that back. They looked at everything. The guys are just I watched Rory McIlroy. That goes to our golf thing over this weekend. And he gets up on the first hole. Guys are hitting 3 when he hits his driver, 345 yards, and, splitting bunkers and down the middle. To me, they hit the ball so far. I've referenced Austin Lemieux in this a number of times. Watch him hit the golf ball is different than most. And the ball, the height, the way they land on they hit 4 irons. Like there's a shirt on. I'll mention a good friend of ours too, Dave Swanson, which we all know.
Yeah.
Number 5 at Allegheny is like 286 yards. It's a really nice par 4 along the road. And he had a hole-in-one there with driver. Listen, I don't know how many years. So Dave had a hole-in-one, yes. So
we are not worthy.
No, we're not
Dave.
worthy. No, that was pretty good. But
to this Dave either.
So the other thing I'll say real quick. Also, you take guys like players, Austin Lemieux hitting a driving iron, like a 3 or 4 iron, and it's a different world. Golf game, the way the golf guys hit the ball and the way they play the game, Dave, it's phenomenal, really.
Yuta Segura, I'm botching that pronunciation. 29 under, and the Corn Ferry was the winner. So that's probably
29 under.
29.
I missed that one shot. All right.
I'll say something. We have
FedEx
real
Cup.
quick, real quick on the FedEx Cup, Larry. They made this like it's supposed to be the playoffs. It's supposed to be this great driving thing for everybody, drive people to watch it. They paid out last week. They paid out the FedEx points last week. I think what Dave has, Larry, I jumped the gun on you with FedEx, but 28 is going to be when they really make a difference in versus what we're seeing right now, because I don't think it draws the eyes enough. I mean, I watch, but this past weekend was good because it got tight down the end. But they need a change.
This past weekend was the last weekend for players to accumulate points for the FedEx Cup. So that's where the $100 million in bonus pool was paid out. Scotty Scheffler got $23 million. He was the FedEx Cup points leader. Now they have one more tournament left, but it's basically a separate tournament.
Yeah,
but
standalone.
In 2028, they're going to have the points leaders paid out, and then they're going to go to match play with 32 players competing for the actual FedEx Cup championship.
By the way, should they not thank? All of a sudden, the PGA's got all this money. Did they have it before Live started?
No. Is Live Golf?
Where was it all at?
Are we watching the end of Live Golf?
Yeah, I think they're sitting there hoping there's a Live Golf 2.0. I don't know. It's the end of what we just watched. The way guys signed off, I think that was tough.
Yeah.
All right. Time for our off topic. Dave Ricchini, you come up with some good ones. I like this one.
So this week, celebrating our 20th anniversary, wedding anniversary with my wife. So my question to you, you've all been married a long time. What's one piece of marriage advice you would give to either a newlywed or maybe a young couple on the brink of getting married?
Do you want to start, Jay? All right. So they asked this of my father-in-law when he and my mother-in-law were married 20 years. I said, well, what did you say? He said, secret to a happy marriage, guys, do whatever the hell she tells you to do. Jay?
It's very good. I'd say, don't do what a couple owners in the NFL do. Right? How about that? No, just you gotta respect everybody. That's your fault because you brought that question up, right? So I mean, those other points, but I think you gotta.
It's my fault.
You're responsible for Jed York.
Yeah, that's right. No, you gotta respect each other to the nth degree. At all
Gotta
things.
smile.
Seriously.
So
Right? You gotta, it's like your best friend. Keep it that way.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's solid. And by the way, speaking of anniversaries, this is our 1-year anniversary since
How about that?
you guys asked me to join
Larry,
the show.
I'm glad you're
So
here.
Dave, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations, mostly
you.
to your wife for sticking it out.
Mhm.
And
Did you learn anything from us today, Dave?
Well, you didn't ask me I know we're up against it, but my advice is say you're sorry. If you think you need to say it, say you're sorry. If you don't think you need to say it, say you're sorry.
sorry.
If you
That's strong. I think we got 3 in a row that if you live by these principles, you will be married a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah.
Might not be happy, but you'll be married a long time.
You'll be happy.
So Dave Ricchini.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, David. And we just want to take a moment to give you an opportunity with Zero Res Commercial. We have a One Team 15 promo code for you to use. All their services are included: carpet cleaning, hardwood, tile, grout, upholstery, even air ducts. Go to zerores.com/commercial. Use One Team 15. Limited time offer. Can't combine it with any others. Take advantage of this today. Time to check in with Pierre McGuire, who's about to check out from being on the lake for several weeks up in Canada. Get ready to head back to his place in the USA. Pierre, how you doing?
Doing fantastic, Larry. Really excited for football season to get going. Really excited for, obviously, the NHL training camps to get going. Really excited for the American League and the East Coast League to get going, and then college hockey. It's an exciting time of the year. I'm really excited about everything that's going on in the sports world.
Hey, I want to start by recognizing the Penguins organization announcing their new inductees and you know these guys, you know their stories. Your thoughts for their Hall of Fame?
Well, you know what? You're hitting me between the eyes because I'm not aware of who got in for this time. So,
Perfect.
So being up there, so Pierre, it was you had Larry Murphy, Jim Rutherford, Marc-André Fleury, and Jack McGregor as builders. So they named it, and Marc-André Fleury was unanimous. They just named it the other day, and that's something we were discussing here. I think, number one, it's great that the Penguins have brought that back into the fold again and honor all these great, whether it be players or builders, GMs, coaches. It's great that they're doing that.
I agree 100%. Larry is a no-brainer. Jay, you were his teammate. We're friends with Larry. Larry's a no-brainer. Jimmy Rutherford, obviously winning 2 Stanley Cups in Pittsburgh. That's pretty significant. He's already in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Marc-André Fleury is not in the Hockey Hall of Fame yet, but I have to think it won't be a very difficult case to make. I'm on that committee, so hopefully we can get to Marc-André within the 3 years of his retirement, and we'll see how that goes. And, I don't know Mr. McGregor at all. Don't know him at all.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of fans, but they will learn why he is significant.
Yeah.
And perhaps you could share some of that because you're on the board and committee that makes the choice.
Really, the Penguins basically find their way here because of Jack McGregor. So, and that'll come out all more as we move on, but it's all about that and what he meant, how he got started, and here we are. I mean, it's so many years, and cups later, Pierre, which you're a part of the first two. I don't know if it gets much better than that. When the Penguins have been in their heyday, the talent that's been here, Pierre, that's what's, to me, the amount of Hall of Famers outside of the Montreal Canadiens and everything like that and teams. Look at what's really come through the Penguins franchise over the years.
It's amazing. I'm so proud to be part of the legacy there, and I'm so grateful for every opportunity I've ever had in Pittsburgh. Just to show you guys, I was texting with our good friend Mario Lemieux the other day. his camp has changed. The date this year has changed, and it's in January. And I got a note asking if I would come at that time of the year because it's a pretty busy time of the year. I said, I'll never miss that. As long as I'm invited, I will always be there. And I know Jay probably feels the same way, Larry. Yep. The Pittsburgh Penguin camp is phenomenal. Mario's legacy is off the charts. And I'm so overwhelmed whenever I go back to the city just to witness what goes on there with the player. Jay knows this, Larry, too. It's kind of interesting. When you go to Mario's fantasy camp, like, there are guys from other teams that can't wait to get there. They had never touched the Pittsburgh Penguins. They just want to be around the whole organization. It's pretty neat.
It's pretty hard to say.
Like Ty Domi?
Well, Ty would be one, but Bernie Nichols would be another. Grant Fuhr forever would be coming in. Pierre Turgeon never played for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Yep. He comes as much as possible. I mean, there are a lot of guys that come that it's shocking, and a lot of them are they're in the Hockey Hall of Fame. They're not just in the Pittsburgh or the Islanders or the Oilers. They're in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
It's pretty hard. If you, like you mentioned, when you get a call from Mario or, you get some notification that he wants you to be at, I like Pierre said, nobody, you don't, there's certain ones there's certain things you don't turn down, right, Pierre? And he's one of them. You just, because he does, you know why? Because he does so much for all of us, in whatever which way. But for any guy outside and you get the invite, you got to go.
You got to go. And it's one of those things where I tell all my people that I work for, whenever Mario calls, that 5 days is shut down. So I'll see you later, alligator. That's the way it works.
It was a target-rich environment for Jay and I, and Jay set it up. We try to support the Mario Lemieux Foundation, but we got to interview a bunch of those guys at the last camp. It was an absolute blast. So we'll hope to see you several times in Pittsburgh through the course of the season, though I don't know anybody that travels as much as you. You must have so many points racked up, you could do anything in the world.
I do. I'm fortunate. I've got a daughter that actually is working over in Europe. She's been there the last 4 years after graduating from Dartmouth, and she's actually just got in touch with my wife and I. She's coming home after all these years, so we're excited. She's taking a different position within the company that she works for. It's a financial institution. So she's actually coming home, which is kind of cool. But we've been using those frequent flyer miles a lot to go back and forth.
I got you.
I'm just so grateful. Hockey's been amazing to our family, and to be back with the Penguins family and the organization like you have with One Team Media. My show starts again after I get back from this next trip to Europe, which I'm taking early this coming week, and it will start the week right after that, Labor Day, the week after Labor Day.
Jay and I have had the fortune of, showing some of the highlights of the 3 ice season, and it wraps up this week. I think fans, me among them, just love the 3-on-3 as overtime. Can you see, I know we mentioned this to you, but I'd love to get your thoughts on where you see this maybe extending into the NFL instead of 5 minutes, maybe 7 or 8, and what's your thoughts on 3 ice?
Well, first of all, it was an honor to be involved with 3 ice over in Ireland this year. I did the World Championships, and it was phenomenal. I was broadcasting as a color analyst for that, and the caliber of play was phenomenal. It was off the charts. I was really blown away by how good it was and how in shape the players were for that time of the year. It was right around July 4th weekend. I think the future for 3 ice is phenomenal. I would like to see the NHL, and I don't know the best way to say it, but compromise, so to speak. Rather than 5 minutes of 3-on-3, let's go to 7 minutes. Let's make it 2 more minutes so that we can try to do away with the shootout. I think most fans would rather see the game decided in a hockey environment than a shootout environment.
Yeah, I kind of agree. We agree with that. I know we've talked over the year about it too. When you get it, it's something that's very unique. And Pierre, the one thing that we talk about when we talk to the guys and coaches every week, it's the phrase "balls out." I mean, you're going hard when we see the elite players in the NHL do it. It's 5 minutes and you're going outside of somebody bringing it back out of the zone and ragging it a little bit. You're going against the best. I think it's great theater for me. I think you're watching the elite, and it's something special.
Absolutely it is, and it would even, as good as it is at 3 ice. You do that with elite players. Could you imagine in Pittsburgh back in the day, we could have put Paul Coffey, Mario Lemieux, and Jaromir Jagr on the ice at the same time? Good luck.
Yeah, that well, good for them. I'm rooting for the league. You know, E.J. Johnston, who's the CEO, son of our man Eddie. That's going to work, and they're looking at trying to get some bigger numbers, but they're attracting a lot of interest, and I hope it goes.
Pierre, I think, but you talking about doing what you covered when you're over there in July, it's making its way towards an Olympic sport. Like if it's worldwide, you're going to make the move to be something, and it's games you can roll through. I mean, you've got the way they play it here, right? 2 8-minute periods. You can fly through the games. I think that'll be pretty entertaining. I'd be interested to see how many NHL players, when they're right there into their career, still able to play the game, started getting involved in this as this continues to grow.
The middle part of October, I'm heading back to Sweden and then into Bratislava for the IIHF meetings because I presented that. And one of the things that I know will be talked about by the European club pro teams is 3-on-3 for the Olympics in 2030. And I have a real sneaking suspicion there's a massive appetite for this. You'd still have 5-on-5. You'd still play the regular games, but I could see an instance where this would not be a foreign concept to have 3-on-3 hockey, especially because it would allow some of the smaller countries, the hockey countries, to compete for gold. Because you don't have to have as many players that are that high end. You need to have some, but not a bazillion like you have in 5-on-5. So I foresee where that's going to happen.
Yep. Right.
Any notes before camps begin in the National Hockey League?
Yeah, you know what? I hate to pick on teams, but Detroit's inactivity at the managerial level has been shocking. I think a lot of people are surprised. The Dylan Larkin situation is still festering around that organization. That's not a good thing. Minnesota not having Quinn Hughes signed yet, I think that is very eye-opening, and it might potentially be leading to them having to move him because if they can't get him signed, I can't see them keeping him. And obviously there's a fit in New Jersey. And a lot of people are wondering still about Montreal and their inactivity in terms of a second center. Now, maybe they think Oliver Kapanen is that guy for them because he played for them really well the first 40 games, and then the last 40 kind of tailed off. I know I'm going inside baseball a little bit and outside of the Pittsburgh domain, but there's some pressing issues still around the league. And it's going to be really interesting to see how it all plays out. But I would say this, and I'll tell you guys this again, and if I'm wrong, I'll be the first person to apologize. The race for the third spot, I believe, in the Metropolitan Division is going to be amazing. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Devils, the Islanders, and the Rangers, because I think Washington and Carolina are going to be in the first two spots. I don't envision a situation where more than 3 teams from the Metro will make it.
All right.
Well, Pierre, we've always appreciated throughout the summer and getting ready for a new season, your time.
Yep.
Safe travels back south from the lake in Canada, and appreciate it. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, Pierre.
I can't wait early next week, because I got to leave for Europe on Tuesday. So early next week we'll be visiting. I can't wait, boys. Take care.
All right, Pierre.
That, as always, we appreciate Pierre McGuire's contributions. And we want to thank you. Make sure you follow us on social media and particularly on YouTube. Subscribe. We have some great guests ahead and appreciate your support. Want to thank One Team Media, Brian Hess, Mark Coddington, who's producing this episode.
Also, Dave Rourke, the Rourke Automotive Group, Lifetime, and the Rourke Advantage, Lifetime State Inspections, Lifetime Oil Change, Lifetime Engine Warranty. Take a look at all they have to offer with Dave. Also, Tom Grealish with Henderson Brothers, and Larry, a little bit more about Henderson Brothers for us.
Yeah, Henderson Brothers, and Tom's been a great supporter in his team, and you could go to hendersonbrothers.com. They offer a lot of options for you, for your business, and most importantly, your family. And we want to also thank and welcome Zero Res Commercial. Take advantage of promo code. This is OneTeam15. You'll get 15% off. They've got an array of services that are included, including hardwood floors, your carpeting, and your air ducts. Go to zerores.com/commercial and use OneTeam15 to get the savings. And Jay, that's this edition of the Larry and Big Man Show. We appreciate you, and that's a wrap.